Hi, everyone. My name is Heather Ingram, and I work in the Medicaid office for the New York State Department of Health, and I am joined by my colleague, Samantha Hom. And today we're going to walk you through how to complete the enrollment form. So to orient you to this screen, this is the provider enrollment page on emedney.org. In the upper right-hand side, there's this yellow box. And a couple of things to highlight. One is the practitioner enrollment form, which here is entitled Enrollment Form, is one form of many that need to be completed for the provider enrollment application. The next thing is on this yellow box is we've created an instruction cheat sheet that doulas can use to track what needs to be completed and to understand, depending on which pathway they're applying for, what to include. The next thing here is the category of service. So doula providers have been assigned this number, which will be added to the enrollment form. The last thing in this yellow box to highlight that's really important is there is no application fee for doula providers to apply to become Medicaid providers. So we're going to scroll down to where the practitioner enrollment form lives and show you where the instructions are on this document. So Samantha's hovering here to show you where the form is. You can see directly above it, there are some initial instructions. And then below this, there are additional instructions. So there's these general instructions, and then there are additional instructions. And these are drop-down tabs as we're demonstrating. So again, that category of service is highlighted in red for you. And what we want applicants to do is to really read through these instructions slowly and carefully so that when you submit your application, it can be processed without delays. Now, this practitioner enrollment form is 6 pages long, and it's got a lot of information that can be confusing. And so we created a sample practitioner enrollment form, which we're going to walk through now to help you complete this application. So the first thing here is we very clearly noted that this is a sample. So you'll see the watermark here. So this is a reference document only and should not be used to fill out your application. So you'll go back and use the blank forms when you complete this part of the application. The next thing is we made this form really busy, and we did that purposefully because we wanted to draw your attention to everything that you need to pay attention to in order to fill out this 6-page document correctly the first time. And you'll see throughout that we've added a doula in there. So we created a fake doula named Sally Walker and put her information in there. Okay, so things to pay attention to in general with all application forms. You have to use the New York State Department of Health forms that are on the eMedney website. That's number one. Number two is that these forms can be completed electronically, and we encourage you to do so, but signatures and initials need to be in what's known as wet ink, so meaning with a blue or black pen. Electronic signatures, rubber stamps are not accepted. The next thing on this process is that the application needs to be mailed to with all the forms included in one envelope, and all forms need to be mailed. They cannot be shared electronically. There's only one part of this process that's electronic, and that's the doula directory form, and we've got another video for that one. And we'll show you at the end of this video where to find the mailing address to mail in your application. The last thing is you should keep a copy of your application for your own records and not to send in your original doula training certificate. Okay, so back to this form. In these red boxes, we've highlighted, again, information to pay attention to. You can see here, this is where you're going to input your category of service that is specific to doulas. And then further down throughout the document, we've highlighted in yellow special things to pay attention to, okay, such as including your email address. The other thing to note is that each section needs to be filled out unless it's indicated not to complete. And if you're completing the same information line to line, you can see like on Sally's under the pay to address, we've added this same as above, and that's sufficient, but you would still need to put in the zip code. Okay. Let's go to the next page here. So the service address. This is important. If you are a doula and you are providing care in, let's say, a midwifery office or in a hospital, but you're not employed by those entities, meaning maybe you work for a doula organization or you work for yourself, the only address that you should be putting on here is your own address. Now, this service address is published unless you note that it's a protected address. So we assume that most doulas will be putting the information identical to how Sally Walker completed it. So noting the protected address and the street address, but continuing to put in the rest of the information, city, state, zip code, county, telephone number, etc. Let's scroll down further. So again, we've got these red boxes throughout and then these yellow highlights. Section 5 can be left blank. Section 6 needs to be completed by every single applicant. There are 5 questions on here, so make sure that you don't miss number 5. And then important to note with questions 1 through 4, if you check yes on any of these, then you will need to complete a separate form called the Prior Conduct Questionnaire. And we'll walk you through where that is and how to complete it later on in this video. So the last thing here is, again, this reminder that there's no blue highlight here, meaning on the signature, meaning that it cannot be completed electronically. So again, we want you to memorialize this idea that anytime you see a signature or an ask for initials, it needs to be in wet ink. So I'm going to hand it off to Samantha here to add additional information and to close us out.
Thanks, Heather. So we're going to go back to the eMedNE page. So again, this is where we just were, the Doula Sample Practitioner Enrollment Form. As Heather said, you want to open up your own blank document and fill that in. We recommend pulling them up side by side with each other so you can kind of follow along with our notes and fill in your document. So I'm just going to show you another place where you can find the Sample Practitioner Enrollment Form. We have other videos that go through all these different forms, but this is another place where you can find the Sample Practitioner Enrollment Form under our instructional forms. Now, just to highlight, one of the last things that Heather mentioned was the Prior Conduct Questionnaire. So the Prior Conduct Questionnaire shows up under required forms. We want to highlight again, this is only required if you answered yes to questions 1 through 4 in section 6. So sometimes doulas have been sending this to us, even if it's not required. You can save some paper, save some time, and time on your end filling it out, time on our end processing your application. Don't send it in unless you need it. And then the last thing that we want to point out on this page is where to find your mailing instructions. So as Heather mentioned, all forms except for the doula directory form need to be printed out and mailed in one envelope to one of these addresses. It's personal preference which address you'd like to send it to, and the cost will be different. It's the main difference between sending it one of these 2 ways. Either way, it will get to us. And And I guess I'll highlight one last thing, which is right below here, which is how to contact us if you have any questions. This is our email address, and this is the website for the Doula Services website if you want to check out any of our other enrollment support resources. So thanks for joining for this video, and you can check out our other videos for more specific information on other forms. Thank you.